Okay, I'm at 924 Fairacres Drive in Dayton, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. Our access here is a clean out just underneath the hose bib here. You can see there's the front door. So we're just to the right of the front door, pretty much underneath the bathroom window. And now this is most likely a sweep, the way these were made, meaning it will force me to go downstream, so we won't be able to inspect the line on the interior. We'll be going from the house to the street. Most issues we find are between the house and the street. And this most likely will be clay pipe running from, as soon as we enter here, this will be cast iron, and then it'll switch over to clay probably shortly after the clean out. And so as we go in, cast iron, just to note, it will be cast iron on the inside, probably only a few feet until you get to the main stack, just on the other side of the wall, which would be behind the toilet essentially in that wall. And with the cast iron, just want to make a few notes about that. There's it's rough, as you can tell. It does rust, and so you can never really tell how thin or thick the pipe walls are. You're just basically looking for functionality in any large holes. But the main thing I want to say is that they are known for a little more soft clogs are a little more prevalent due to how rough the pipe walls are. They can catch large amounts of toilet paper or wet wipes. That's the main thing, is not to use any wet wipes. I don't recommend using them at all. If you're going to use them, throw them in the trash, no matter if they say flushable. They shouldn't be. They don't break down like toilet paper, and that's how it's designed. The toilet paper, disintegrates into nothing, so it doesn't catch on the, if it does catch on something, it'll disintegrate into the water and continue. Wet wipes won't do that, so they're just they just cause a lot of clogs, a lot of soft clogs that are not necessary. So you can see right there, I just switched material, so we did go into the clay, and there's already just a little bit of roots. This is very, very minor. But again, like I mentioned, it's very common. For some reason, it seems like they always plant trees right over top of these lines, and then they end up with this root intrusion. But the main reason is that there's just a lot of connections. As you can see, about every 3 feet. The pipe sections are only 3 feet long, so there's a lot of connections, and they break down. The packing they used around the connections kind of breaks down over the years and just allows in a little bit of finger roots. And nothing a tree likes more than fertilizer and water all in one place. This one, it looks like the tree's off a little bit to the right, so not as close to being right over top, but you just have minimal, so far very minor root intrusion. Chances are, if you went up and down this street, there's probably some in about every one of these lines. Let's see, just a little bit more. And so I've really only seen 2 that have any, and they've been very minor so far. When we get all the way in, we'll try to run some water, or I'll try to go down into the main and make sure that the camera's rinsed off before we head back towards the pull back and record. Now you can see in the bottom left hand corner there's an angle indicator. You can see we're dropping at a 26 degree angle. The pipe's a little sharper than that, and we have some root intrusion here, about 48 feet, and this is probably the heaviest as we're diving in towards the main. At that angle, it usually means we're diving straight down to get lower, to get to the sewer main. Here we are leveling out right before we pop into the edge of the main. So I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'm going to go in and run some water. Try to rinse off, to make sure that the camera's rinsed off, and we can also kind of see the line function as we pull back.
Yeah, well, it doesn't want to.
We'll go ahead and turn that water on. Okay, running some water through here, so we'll see how we'll be able to watch the functionality of the line as we pull back. Like I said, the line looks really good. We just have a couple spots with some root intrusion. I think the worst one was right around 48 feet. Yep, there's that 48-foot spot, and that's about the worst of it. That could probably be taken care of with a chemical like Root X. Right now it wouldn't even matter. There's nothing there that it probably wouldn't even, it foams up is what Root X does, and it gets carried down by the water, and then you usually let it sit overnight. And in this case, it wouldn't even be worth it to do that, because it wouldn't even, there was not even enough roots there to catch anything. So you might want to, you could do a precautionary treatment in about a year or so. But I mean, other than that, you could probably wait, you know, another 3 to 5 years to see, and then maybe have another inspection or something just to check to see if there is any further root growth, or if it's even getting to the point where it requires maintenance. And that should give you a good idea. I mean, this cap has been. I apologize. Somehow the video paused. Sometimes the monitor has a mind of its own. I tried to pause it earlier and it wouldn't, so it decided to wake up. But so we'll push back out a little bit because I'm not really sure at what point that paused. No, it wasn't too far ago. But the what I was saying is that the line has been, or the cap has been replaced on the clean out here with an expansion plug. That indicates it has been opened and possibly cleaned before. But the amount of roots I'm seeing in here, it must not have been bad, because the root intrusion is pretty minimal. But again, you could do a precautionary treatment of like root X after about a year. They usually recommend once a year, or just have it cambered again in a few years and see how heavy the roots have gotten, if at all. And then, you know, get an idea of a maintenance schedule. Because see, if you look in this one right here, you can see around the edges of the connection, there's roots all around there. So it could have been cleaned somewhat recently, and that's why, because that was probably a pretty heavy thing of roots there, the way it looks. And if it's done well and cut out with like a 4-inch double knife and done well, you can cut it like that and it barely looks like there's any roots at all. And so I think this has been cleaned in the past. I don't think it's been real recent, but you know, based off the evidence here and the fact that probably, like I mentioned earlier, all these have had root, probably all these houses in this neighborhood at some point, if they've got clay pipe still, they have some little bit of root intrusion. And so here's another one, again very minimal, 15 feet, and probably even during a cleaning that would have been even during a cleaning, it could have been missed, only because the blades could have went right past it, is because it's so minimal. So we are all the way back into the reel, and the line looked great. Structurally, the line is in great shape. There's no structural issues at all. You do have that root intrusion, like we talked about, and again, you know, the only thing I recommend is either a precautionary or a preventative treatment in about a year of some root X, just to kind of, you put it down there, there's directions on the bottle, but and then after that, or instead of that, you could also do a, you know, follow-up inspection in a few years just to check the root growth and see if you can, you know, establish a maintenance schedule from then on. The chemical is something that you would do yourself. I just want to mention that, so that it's nothing, you know, difficult or expensive. It's just something that, you know, would be regular maintenance on an old sewer line. So, but yeah, again, the line looked great structurally, and so no major issues, just a little bit of maintenance for the future. So that'll end the inspection at 924 Fairacres Drive in Dayton, Ohio.